All right, so the Colorado Avalanche lose on the ice to the Dallas Stars, and they lose off the ice as well. Big breaking news right before the game started. We'll talk about it all. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Make sure you're following us on social media, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, LockedOnAvalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. And make sure you're subscribed to our subtext as well. Link to that's in the show notes below. And when you do chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, we get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. Might not get to the subtext people today because there is a lot going on with the Avalanche. It's not just this series with Dallas, which obviously that is of great importance. And they are now trailing in that series 3-1. So big mountain to climb in that aspect. And there's very few things that would grab the lead from that, from a playoff series. But something happened before the game. Two things really. That is just monumental for the Avalanche, for Val Nichushkin, for the franchise going forward. That stuff we can get into a little bit later, but the immediacy of it can't be understated. And just to catch everybody up, if you had, for whatever reason, not heard, we all know Val Nichushkin had his issues last postseason against Seattle, and halfway through the season, he went into the Players Assistance Program, came out of that, and he apparently tested positive again. And this is there's a protocol for this when you go into the Players Assistance Program, and this is step 3, stage 3. I don't want to say step because that's a different thing. Stage 3 is you are suspended for 6 months without pay. And that is not 6 months of hockey calendar. That is regular calendar. So Val Nichushkin, if he is to return for the Colorado Avalanche, and that's a conversation we can have maybe a little bit today, but very much in the offseason. If he were to come back, he's not coming back until mid-November. This is he was their best player this postseason so far, and it was felt. We'll get to the game in a little bit because that was huge. I mean that happened. What, an hour, or at least it was the news was released within an hour of puck drop. So it was massive.
Yeah, with the big game that you have coming that just finished, the Avalanche had a lot going into this game, and you find out in the post-game comments, this was relayed to the team the same time it was relayed to the media. So they were just as blindsided by this news as Avalanche fans were. And for it was about an hour and a half before puck drop. That news dropped. And Avs fans lost their mind. The team, you could visually see how they took it to heart. And it's just question marks, like 6 months, November 13th. If, he has to apply to get reinstated.
Right.
And this is without pay and no more Val Nichushkin again. And after the Seattle, we talked about it through the Winnipeg series of Val's performance.
Yeah.
It's night and day what he brings to this team when he's part of the team. And now that's going to be a question mark going forward, because to go stage 3, and I can't remember the last time a player has been just banned from playing for 6 months.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know there were stages to this thing, to this player program thing, in that there's repercussions for if you get to a certain level. I wasn't aware of that. But I mean, to be going into this game, in the morning, you saw Jonathan Drouin out there in morning skate, and Jared Bednar was asked after morning skate, is he ready to play? And he kind of gave a smirk and he said, we'll see. And the way that he answered that, you're like, all right, he's coming back. So you're like, you got Jonathan Drouin back finally. And it's a massive game, obviously. And then this drops, and then the Devon Toews news drops as well. I mean, we'll get to that in a minute, but
Who was a part of Morning Skate, by the way.
he was. So, and again, we'll get to that too. A lot we got to get to today. It's gonna be a long episode. But for the so like you go from one extreme to the next in a matter of seconds. And if he's going to be suspended or is suspended for 6 months, that tells me with this protocol for me, like I'm just gonna say, like, and some people know, we have a lot of people who are new listeners because it's the playoffs, and we have a lot of new, from the other team as well. I deal with substance users and alcoholics every day. I work with them every single day of my life. And if you didn't know that, now you know that. If he's doing 6 months, or if he's suspended for 6 months, the protocol tells me that he's going to an inpatient facility, because this is your third time, and relapse is part of addiction. And if you don't believe me on that, it is. It just is. So the protocol is probably, once you just get treatment, second, you maybe do like an outpatient program. He's not just going to be sitting home for 6 months. So if he's suspended for 6 months, that tells me he is going to a residential inpatient facility where he could be there for 3 or 4 months, and then he comes home and continues to do treatment. That's kind of the protocol for a 6 month, if you're away for 6 months. What I don't like about this is you're removing his pay. That part I don't understand. Like the guy needs help.
Mm-hmm.
He needs help, and to take, not that he's going to be hurting for money that you take his pay away for 6 months, but what are you doing? Are you? It just seems like that's not fully supportive. And I know money is trivial. I know that. But you're saying, like, hey, like, we're gonna like 1-2 sucker punch you here in suspending you for 6 months, which might not be the worst thing in the world for him to go get the help. But on the other side of it, the other hook is you're not getting paid for it either. I don't think he cares about the money part of it. I hope he just cares about the getting well part. But that's kind of where my mind is right now, and why, if it's 6 months and it's his third strike, it makes sense, because you cannot keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results in terms of treatment. You can't just go to, hey, I'll go to another 1 month program, another 1 month program. You constantly have to step it up if there's use that is continual, which clearly there is here for him. So, and it the right way. It's just, I don't know about the money part of it. I just have a little bit of hang up on that.
And no, I know, and I completely get you. And this couples really well with the outcry of the armchair GMs right now. I'm not going to be talking about Val Nichushkin's place on this team now going forward until the offseason, because Val Nichushkin had to go to step 3 in the playoffs. He just had a child. He's leaving his child and his wife behind, like, and his team behind without pay. Like, he's to go through it this strongly, to deal with the stress of the playoffs. He had a great first series against Winnipeg, and for him to fall back into this, to go to a stage 3, we need to stop talking about his contract, what this means for the Avalanche going forward. Val needs help, and we all need to support him on this journey. I know it's gonna be terrible without the pay, because again, he has a family, but he needs the help, and that's where all of this needs to be focused right now. Is Val needs help. This is not something he chose to do, and this is just something that he's been battling. So we need to stop those comments until the season is over, and then everybody goes on their break, and then we can readdress this once things get back. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't like the no pay thing, because he does have people that rely on him. But Val needs to take care of Val right now.
And, while I was not aware that there was actually steps to this, or, and you were not either, like, I can guarantee you the players are. The players that go into this program, I'm sure they're given the entire itinerary of this is how it's going to work. So it's probably not a surprise to him that he got to level 3 and is suspended for 6 months without pay. My other question about this is, why go why go that route? Why go in the players program then? Go do it on your own. Like, you can go get treatment on your own. You don't have to go through the players program. So if wanting to play is of importance to you, you can go find another program and not have to go through these protocols of being suspended. That's a completely different discussion. The last thing that I wanted to bring up here, man, is I'm a lot disappointed in the Avalanche media and how this was covered on social media, because it was more you saw accounts of just zero empathy and zero sympathy, and more about his playing career, which I personally, I don't care about right now. I don't. And for that to be the focal point of some accounts posting about, well, I guess his Avs career is over. If it is, at least his life is still living. And on the flip side of that, there were other accounts who cared more about having the story first. We need to get over that. The way that the world is right now, and how information is just thrown around in milliseconds, and wanting to be first on things is, to me, just an archaic way of spreading news. I get it. I get that you, like, if you are out there first and you want credit for it, I completely understand that, and you should be given the credit for it. But if you feel like you're not, and you feel if you're slighted, and you're just constantly talking about who's posting it and not giving you credit for it, and who's posting it and who's got it first, and there's a human being who has problems with an addiction right now, and that's what you care about. And it was all over the place with Avs media, and it was embarrassing, totally embarrassing to have that be the focal point. Not, you made it about yourself. It's not about you. It's about this guy who's a person. Yeah, he may play hockey and we might hold him up on a different level, but it boils down to he's a human being, and you're making this all about yourself. And you know who you are. If you're listening to this, I don't care if you are, but if you are, you know who you are, and you really should be ashamed of yourself right now. You made it about yourself and has nothing to do with you.
And to Val, if this continued on down this path, you don't want to be the first to report an ambulance call. You don't want to be citing that. Like, this is a human being that is struggling with something very personal that I have lost people to, very close to me, and you cannot.
Everybody has. Everybody has. Addiction is like not the new. It is a form of cancer. We all know somebody that's dealing with cancer who has died to it, directly or indirectly, and the same goes for addiction.
And to lose sight of the human aspect, like, I know what jersey he wears, and I know the people that report on the jersey he wears, but that takes a back seat to him taking care of himself. Like I said, he's got a newborn and a family. Like, we got to get back to the human side of things, because you would want the exact same if it was flipped around. And if you messed up in your profession and they said, oh, well, there goes his career, you wouldn't enjoy that much either. So you got to take a step back. This is a human being struggling with something. Look around you. There are others in your periphery that you can reach out and touch that are probably suffering the same thing.
Exactly. And if you want to gripe about that, there's a time for that. Like, this was all breaking, and we're all just like, there's a game to be played, and this guy just got suspended for 6 months, who's a massive part of this team, and he's clearly going through something, and I'm trying to, like, find more information on it, and all I'm seeing is bickering about a story, or a guy who, you know, he ruined his career with the Avalanche. Okay, I'm not disagreeing with any of that, but there is a time for it. We have an entire off season, which might be coming sooner rather than later, to talk about this stuff. And we're gonna like, it's just a toxic environment on one particular social media platform, and it honestly, Kyle, it took me out of the beginning of this game,
Yep.
all of it. It took me a long time to really get into this game and kind of enjoy this game, which really wasn't enjoyable from an Avalanche point of view or perspective. But and it all circles back to how everything, what Nichushkin is going through, the suspension, and how the fans too, they're not excluded from that. There were some that just were focusing on what happened last year, what happened this year. Again, all valid stuff, which we can talk about many times. I can guarantee you we'll talk about it many times. But where my head goes, and maybe because, like I said, I work with them every day. My head was not, oh no, like his career is over. Oh no, who got the story first? My thought was on the human being. And is he okay? And let's hope he gets the right help that he needs. It was just a growing up moment, I thought, that a lot of people needed to have.
And I think that was also felt in Ball Arena and on the
Mm.
team level, because they also were seeing all this. We're all connected to that same app. And I feel like that was felt, especially in the start of this game.
It was. So going a little bit long in this segment, but it's a big deal. So kind of expected to do that. So let's get to that game where the Avalanche drop it 5-1 to Dallas. So let's talk about that, where things go from here, everything. We'll do that coming up next. All right, let's hear it from FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. That's FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Go sign up now. All right. So on the ice, Avs drop this thing, and you're right. I mean, it just they came out flat. They just had nothing in the tank at the beginning of the game, which is kind of just reversed. You really shouldn't have anything. I mean, you should have a full tank for a full 60. We love the full 60 phrase here, but they just started the game, and you could tell this was dragging on them. They had nothing, and Dallas was. This doesn't really affect Dallas. I mean, maybe in the brotherhood of hockey players, they're not going to dwell on it like the Avalanche are going to dwell on it, right? So they went out, they continued to play their style, and they jumped. They jumped on the Avs, and the first goal, not surprised, the way that this game went to start, the first goal is a shorthanded goal.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like that kind of sums up really where I'm feeling like the Avalanche were in their headspace and the mental lapses that they were having. And sure, first goal of the game goes to Dallas as a shorty.
And, to that deflated, feel, not just from the Avs, but Ball Arena itself, like that third period, it felt like we were back in bubble hockey again. I was getting terrible flashbacks of bubble hockey against Dallas because of how just empty and lifeless everybody was. And honestly, Dallas, going back to that brotherhood of hockey, I feel like Dallas could have had a 10 spot on the Avalanche with their effort they were putting out there. And I feel like they did enough. They just didn't push, because they could have easily run up the score. Like, I know the shots were crazy and the possession, they converted on power plays. They converted on our power plays, but they could have easily run the score up and made a statement. And I felt like they understood the gravity of everything going on and tried not to inflict any more pain than the team across. Like, you could look at the Avs and see they were defeated, broken, and lifeless.
I think the only reason why it wasn't run up was because of Alexander Georgiev.
Oh yeah,
I played another good game, and they were just hanging him out to dry. Part of that is Devon Toews was not there. That was like the other punch in the gut right before the game, was that he was a late scratch. So he's out. Caleb Jones comes in. Sean Walker moves up to the top line. Just to touch on the Toews thing, all we got was he's out with an illness, Didn't say what it was, but I'm just gonna go there. If this, and maybe Jared Bednar said something after the game, or maybe he'll say something on Tuesday. If this is, long-term effects from concussion symptoms, I think we can kind of, reverse the talk of that hit from Jamie Benn, because clearly, if that's what it is,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? You do. I mean, it's not always immediate where you get the symptoms of concussion. Sometimes it could take days or even weeks to creep up. Hello, Bo Byram. But, it's guys are not taking days off from playoff hockey because they have a tummy ache.
Yeah.
It's serious stuff. So if that's what it is, and I'll kind of go there now and just have that. But what else? I mean, I didn't see. You said he was there for morning skate.
And
If this is what it is, it's everybody that's like the clean hit people. Well, the dude is out because of long-term symptoms of concussions. So take it
and
for
I
what's worth.
I did hear in the broadcast that they were mentioning that Bednar did make a comment pregame that had nothing to do with the concussion. But
Okay.
again, we'll see. Especially deeper, because I mean it's do or die from this point forward for the Avs. So you expect Toews to possibly make an appearance, but I mean, without his hockey IQ out there, I don't think, honestly, with the effort the Avs put out there tonight, it would have made a difference. Caleb Jones was
Not really.
definitely a choice with Malinsky still dancing around out there. I don't. It was just a very weird deal, and just one more thing the Avs had to overcome.
Yeah. And just the way that the game played, it was 16. Was it 16-2 in shots in the first? I just want to. It was something like that. Yeah, 16-2, and then 12-11 in favor of Dallas in the second, and then in the third it was 6-12 in favor of the Avalanche. And that's my question: is why in game 3 you needed to come from behind and put everything you had into offensive possessions, and Dallas shut you down. In this game, you need to put everything into the same thing, and you had better luck. You had better luck of getting shots on net, getting better looks. So you obviously have the ability to do this. Why are they starting so late to do this for this game? How much of this Nichushkin stuff came into play? It's tough to say right now, man. Like, these guys are professionals, so you got to at least put it behind you. I think the fact that it happened so close to puck drop, it's going to affect guys. Just while we're talking about how Val Nichushkin's a human being, so are these guys. Like, the rest of the guys in the team. It's tough. It's tough, but I think it just went on longer than I expected it to. And the third period is where they decided to turn it on a little bit. Not feeling like they were really going to get back into the game, but at least they played a better period in the third period, and you're just like, you just wish you got that for the full 60, because maybe it would have been a closer game. I don't think you would have beat Dallas. I don't, but you would have had a better showing at least.
I think, and honestly, we're going into game 5. The Avalanche have not led a single second of this series. Not one single second of this series. That lead, that eventual win was in overtime. So there's not 1 second the Avalanche have led. And the effort, for everything we were talking about in game 3, times it by 2. The effort was atrocious, top to bottom, except for Georgiev. The forwards, the defense, everything. Cale Makar, invisible. Mikko,
Tough game.
notably lazy. Nathan McKinnon, I had no idea he played. Casey Middlestat got just a good hustle goal, but that's it. It was just a lifeless, like, passes, the worst I've ever seen.
Passing was god awful.
Nothing looked good. They couldn't, they had one good power play where they doubled up their shots from the entire game. In that one single power play, it looked good, and then that was it. That was the one shining moment of the game.
The game was over by then on that power play where it looked good. So maybe Dallas wasn't even trying really that hard on a penalty kill. But your first power play was disgusting. It was terrible. And I said it. I put up a post about it. Excuse me. Dallas, the next time Dallas had a power play, their first power play, they kept the puck in that zone for the full 2 minutes. I'm lying. It came out of the zone for 3 seconds. It just came right past the blue line, but they collected it and went right back in. So let's just say, for the sake of the argument, the full 2 minutes of the power play, they had the puck in that zone. And you can see the difference. And that you win the faceoff on the start of a power play, it just takes on a completely different tone. And the Avs cannot win a faceoff to save their ever-loving mind right now. Nobody can win a faceoff. And when you don't do it on a power play and you get the puck cleared and you're struggling to get the puck into the zone as it is, it's like the power play is over before it even starts. Well, and the play with Cale Makar behind the net, Dallas, I love that Dallas does this. And we talked about it during the regular season. They don't let you sit behind the net with the puck and let your line mates change or whatever you're doing. They go around the net and attack you. You have to know that. And Cale Makar seemed like he had a mental lapse there, and they were right on him. He fumbles the puck. They get a couple shots on net by Georgiev, which he stops, but they just had, even though they were a man down, they had more guys in front of the net than the Avalanche did, and they got the first goal.
And here's a stat to really make you feel good and make everybody just sleep well tonight. The Dallas Stars outshot the Avalanche on their first 2 power plays. Colorado's first 2 power plays, the Dallas Stars outshot them.
Yeah, sorry, sure, give Dallas credit for the way that they're playing and the way that they have played. But they are I'm sure some of it is a lot of it is that they're getting the Avalanche to not play their game, but the Avalanche have to overcome that.
Yeah.
The Avalanche have to just take it back and just say, no, we are going to play our game and we're going to impose our will on you, and you're going to force us to bend to us. There's been none of that. None of it. It's been all Dallas is we're the aggressors and we're getting you out of your game, and you can't seem to really get it back. And which is just baffling to me after the Winnipeg series that you had, who on paper is a better defensive team, and you had your way with them. And to just lose all of that over the course of a couple games, I just cannot wrap my head around it.
And if I would have told you in May that the Colorado Rockies would be hotter than the Colorado Avalanche right now,
I would have absolutely said you are crazy.
Welcome to this year's Avalanche team.
Where do we go from here, sir? Is there any hope left? Your season is on the line now, so you got to play a different game, and you've got to come out swinging. So we'll talk about that. Let's get our last break in, and we have our sound check to get to as well. We'll do all that next. All right, Policygenius. It's the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It saves you time and money so you can provide your family with a financial safety net starting today. With Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policygenius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts are on hand to help talk you through it. And Policygenius gives you unbiased advice from a licensed expert support team. They have no incentive to recommend one insurer over another, so you can trust their guidance. So check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policygenius. So head to policygenius.com/lockedonnhl or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save at policygenius.com/lockedonnhl. So the series heads back to Dallas, where they obviously want to finish this thing off on home ice. Avs want to do what the Carolina Hurricanes just did and win on the road and see what you can do from there. Like, you got to bring it back. That is the mindset. Obviously, one game at a time, but do you feel like it can be done? Or do you feel like, yeah, maybe they'll get one win in game 5, but it's just too much of an ask to win against Dallas 3 times in a row?
What you have to do is, you said one game at a time. This team needs to look around the locker room and realize this might be the last chance for a couple members on this team to play together. And do you want this to be your last run? It's one period at a time from here on out. Your performances in game 3 and game 4, you have to win the first period. You have to win the second. You have to win the third. If you don't get another first period. You go home. And then if you win a game, you get another chance at your last first period, your last second, and your last third. You have to go out and win every single period. Get the lead, actually lead a game in this series, and try and get that swagger back. Unless you just want to pack it up and go home. You've done that in game 3 and game 4. Why not game 5?
I mean, at this point, it's like the trend of the series, just like the first series was with Winnipeg in favor of the Avalanche. The trend is Dallas controlling the pace of play, controlling everything. You have to get that reversed. You have to snap out of that. If you don't, this series is not going much further. So it's imperative to get that first goal.
Yep.
You absolutely have to, and do it on their ice too. It's even more of an important factor. But I don't know, man. Like, it things have to change. So we'll see if Devon Toews comes back, and he's ready for this game. Maybe it is an illness. Maybe I'm just being too hung up on the Jamie Benn thing, but maybe he is sick and just, maybe it was coming out of both ends or something like that. Who the hell knows? But maybe he's cured by then and he's back, so that's good. The Nichushkin thing is going to hurt, but at least you have a couple days to kind of process that and practice knowing he's not going to be there. And okay, what do we need to do different without him here? The stats are what they are when he's in and out of the lineup. We saw it during the regular season. They are not as good of a team when he's not there. So that is a big thing that they're going to have to overcome. Can they do it? Sure. It is not going to be easy by any stretch, but they can do it. And your top guys have to step up. Like Nathan MacKinnon has yet to take over a game.
Yep.
And if he can't, like nobody on this team can. So, and that's Dallas really just putting the clamp on every single line. So I think you take the later stages of this game, because you did look a little bit better, start that way. Hopefully you can get a first goal and build on that. And you cannot get down again. You just simply cannot get down. It's that simple to say, maybe not so simple to do.
Yeah, and with the effort that they had in game 3, you wonder if the Avs, this team, knew this Nichushkin news was coming out, and they knew something was up with Nuke, because in 3 and 4, it was identical efforts. And this team has to realize this is it. We're going to either play for this team that got us through all 82 games and through the playoffs in that incredible Winnipeg series. If we want to do this, or are we just going to accept defeat and accept this season as a loss? Then you're at a crossroads, and somebody's got to step up and say, hey, we have a chance, we can do this, and go out swinging.
Yeah, that's all you can do. Your back's up against the wall, so you got to give them your best shot. So, and I don't know if the Avs, it just seemed to me like the Avs are just too timid in the early stages of the game. Like, they don't want to make a mistake, and Dallas is just playing footloose and fancy free and just playing their game. But what's happening is you're making the mistakes anyway. You're giving up first goals anyway. So just throw caution to the wind. Just go play your game. Just get back to playing your game. And Dallas is stopping you. But in the same breath, I just feel like the Avs have not got to their game.
Nope.
In this series at all.
I don't know if they will. It's honestly up to them at this point, but we'll find out soon.
We'll see. All right. Last bit of business that we got to get to, that is our Locked On Avalanche sound check. where Kyle and I pick one song each, put it up on a playlist over on Spotify, which you can follow. Just search for LOA Soundcheck Volume number 3. So what do you got for this game, sir?
Just because I hated this game and everything that happened this evening, I'm going to go with a band I absolutely hate, but I love this song. I hate Disturbed.
Do you really? I didn't know that about you. Wow.
I-
All these years, I did not know you did not like Disturbed. Okay.
But I love their cover of Sound of Silence. And that's honestly all you got in Ball Arena was the Sound of Silence.
So true. They did a great job of taking the crowd out of it too.
Yeah.
They did a great job. That is a good one. That is a very good one. So you didn't want to go with the original? You went with the Disturbed version?
The cover, it's got such a good feel to it. Like
I didn't like that song. The original is just so like iconic and classic. When I first heard it, I'm like, I don't know if I like it, but like over like many listens and many years, like yeah, it's totally grown on me, and like I accept it now. I like it.
It's my only stick taps I'll ever give to Disturbed.
Really? We got to talk about that. That's interesting. That's interesting. All right. For me, I got an interesting one because it's one song, but it has 2 titles.
Ooh.
And let me explain. So it's from my rock god and Chris Cornell, right? So one of his solo albums, Scream, there's a hidden track back when hidden tracks on CDs were a thing.
Oh yeah.
There's a hidden track on there which did not have a title, and just the fans just called the name of the song "2 Drink Minimum," and that is not lost on me that I am picking a song called "2 Drink Minimum" while we're talking about the whole Val Nichushkin thing, but he never intended it for it to be called that, and he intended it to be called "As Hope and Promise Fade." Because that's the first line of the song. So there's actually a live Chris Cornell acoustic album called Songbook. And the very first track on that's live. He plays, he went on a tour playing acoustic live. That's the very first song. And on that album, it is called As Hope and Promise Fade. So I might just throw both of them on there for the heck of it. But that's kind of like you're feeling that way. You are feeling that like the hope is fading. The promise of a good season and a deep run season is fading. It's not faded, but it's getting there because you might have one game left in your season. So there's no other way to think about it.
Go ahead and throw both songs up there and put Simon Garfunkel up there. We're running out of opportunities to fill up this playlist.
Boom. Well, yes, a double dipper. We got a double album going with this one.
We're trying to help everybody out. We're trying to pump you guys up.
Absolutely. Pump you up with some downer songs in this one.
Let's all go to Hot Topic.
Oh, man. Oh, God. Love that story. My 16-year-old self loved that story, I should say.
Same here.
Yeah. All right, people. That's going to wrap it up for today. We should be back tomorrow. We'll get some subtext people in here. Update anything on this Nichushkin thing. There are comments coming out of the Avalanche locker room right now, which are pretty interesting and eye-opening about Val Nichushkin. So we'll maybe bring that up too. So what am I talking about? We will. All right. That will be it for today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast, and we'll see you guys later.